Hey, this is Darren, BestAutoDetailingTips.com. I'm inside of this Ferrari 458 Spider, and the lesson of the day is water spot removal. I want to do a little talking first because I'm literally working out in front of my customer's house, and I got to pick and choose my moments. I don't necessarily want to announce to the world all my commentary. So the fact is when it comes to people of affluence or money, anything goes, and everyone maintains appearances, because appearances are just that, appearances. We all configure what we expose to the world. So the point is it's often very misleading. You see people driving around in these high-end cars, and you may draw certain conclusions. So I'm not passing judgment here. I'm just saying, as a detailer, it can be very revealing at times. So the point is I've got a customer that's literally got, see, his Rolls Royce that's a little over $300,000. He's got a convertible Bentley, and he's got this Ferrari 458 Spider, and none of them get garaged at night. They sit outside. So the sprinklers come on, and I come here on the weekend, and every morning about 10:30 the sprinklers come on. Every week I show up to detail these cars. They all get detailed once a week. Yes, folks, there are people that have their cars detailed, not washed, but detailed every week. So the sprinklers have just come on. So every week when I show up, there's water spots. So how do you get them off? Water spots are not created equal. I will put a separate introduction to this to give you a little more detail on water spots, because they can be frustrating, and once again, they're just not all created equal, just like water's not all created equal, so on and so forth. So I'm going to show you real quickly how, if you look, the sprinklers are on, and you can see the driveway. So the driveway gets two cars that get to sit in it, as well as the car that sits out on the street. So every week I come here, and there's water spots all up and down it. So if we look here, I can only assume that it's showing, hopefully it is, as I pull in, see all these water spots. It's down this entire Ferrari, okay? And it's not just this side. Now they're really going to show up in the sunlight. This side, water spots everywhere. On the wheels, on the paint. Fortunately, they're not up on the glass, and I'll tell you why. Because the chemical I use, see all these water spots? And if you feel them, you can actually feel them. Because a water spot is really, once all the certain molecules have evaporated, it's about the minerals within the water that create the spot. So the minerals is what you have to deal with, and this is where chemical or chemistry comes in. So what do I use? I use my wheel brightener from Meguiar's, and it's pretty straightforward. Now the only place you don't use this is on glass, but you'll notice, and I don't know if you connect the dots, but it's in a plastic bottle, a plastic sprayer. I can spray this on my hands, so when people hear, because it does have a certain acid base to it, and when I say base is, I don't know the exact formulation, but it is certainly on the acidic scale. So once again, you have to just respond appropriately. The sun is now starting to break through, so this will begin to dry. So I want to keep it away from the windows. The chemical in this, the acid, is actually used to etch glass, but it reacts to brake dust, and this is where chemistry comes in. It's all about chemicals that react and respond in either a good way or a bad way. So this will not hurt clear coat, it will not hurt paint, it won't hurt plastic, because once again, it's in a plastic bottle. If it did hurt plastic, we would have to have it in metal bottles. And you'll notice that most containers on the shelves of Home Depot, even these aggressive ones, are in plastic bottles. Back in the day, used to be in metal. So if you get really hardcore paint thinners and so forth, they will still come, like I think acetone still comes in a metal container because it will deteriorate plastic. So all I do is spray it with the wheel acid and wipe it down with a plush microfiber cloth, and it reacts to the chemicals in the water spots or the minerals that have been left behind due to the water spots, and voila, water spots are gone. Now at this point, all I have to do is take another microfiber that's damp and wipe off the residue, and then I can proceed as normal, whether the car needs to be clayed and then waxed or just waxed. So right here you see residue from the wheel brightener with a little bit of water because I use a damp microfiber, but this comes off very easily, and it's a very quick fix for water spots. Because I use the wheel brightener already on the wheels, I don't have to address those separately because I haven't done the wheels yet. But I'm going to go around like right here on the front, and I'm shooting it on the tail ends, the headlamp cover. Once again, it's all plastic, and literally clear coat itself is a form of plastic. Plastic is such a just a ambiguous term because it really doesn't, it's kind of like saying trees. It's like, oh, this is a tree. Okay, well that told me that it's a tree, but there's only about 100 million types of trees and versions of trees. They're not all created equal. They produce different leaves. Some are perennials, some are annuals, whatever. So tree is an overly generic, ambiguous term, even though it describes it at a level. Just like saying, oh, I own a car. Okay, well that told me you probably own something that has 4 wheels and 4 tires, but hasn't told me much. So that's the same with plastic or polymers or so many other things, including water spots, by the way. They're not all created equal. So you've got the superficial water spot that the minerals have dried and are just laying on the surface. But eventually water spots will or can, but you never know. It's like bird droppings. You never know what the damage is going to be until it's too late and you have cleaned it off, and now the damage is revealed, the permanent damage. So water spots or the minerals within water spots can etch into the clear coat, plastics, metals, chrome, glass. They can become permanent where they actually eat below the surface of the material. Fortunately, even though this is hard water that is getting sprayed out of these sprinklers, I'm able to remove it every week. So you may find that even using this product, you may find that it removes the feel of the water spot, but there's still a spot left there because that means that it has now etched in below the surface. And yes, you can use the clay bar and that will work off the water spot too, but I think this is a much more straightforward approach, probably 95% of the time. If there was still some residual water spot left, I would use the clay bar, smooth it out, and then if there's still a water spot left, then, and I feel absolutely nothing, it's silky smooth, but the spot is still there, I know that it has ate into the clear coat and it lies below the surface, and the only way to truly remove it at that point is to wet sand it or buff enough of the clear coat down to the very bottom of that water spot and remove it 100%. Most of the time they're superficial, and this wheel brightener will work. So once again, do not use on glass. All other materials, it is safe. Here we are, I don't know if it's showing, but more water spots, and it works very well. If the thicker the water spots are and the longer they've been allowed to remain, you may have to allow a little bit of dwell time. That's just like, dwell time just means the amount of time you're allowing something to soak on the surface or material. So you may need a little dwell time, because that will allow the chemicals to react. And also notice I'm using my bare fingers. Do I recommend it? No, but that's where you can do whatever you want. Manufacturer's directions will say wear protective clothing or gloves, whatever. The older I get, the more I pay caution to that. But anyhow, I'm going to finish the rest of this. So that's a quick fix for most water spots.